Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video I want to talk about the shift and how it might open up some investment opportunities for you. Let's talk about Major League Baseball banning the shift next year. The shift's not necessarily banned, but in the infield, it essentially is banned to the current extent that it is right now. You're going to have 2 players on each side of second base, and everybody has to be on the infield dirt when the ball is thrown, meaning you can't be in the outfield. You can still be on the infield to stop bunts. You can still do things like that. You can still stand literally right on second base, like right just to the side of it, but you can't have overload on one side, and you can't have anybody in right field from the infield stopping line drives that lefties hit to the outfield. So this opens up a question. Are there players currently who hit into the shift more than other players, and could their baseball cards go up because their numbers are going to be better next year? And the answer is probably. I can't say yes definitively because I can't predict the future, but I have a strong hunch next year we're going to see some breakout stars. The batting average is going to jump 10 to 20% somehow because they hit the ball hard, but the people that we're getting hit at aren't going to be there anymore. So I want to look at a list of players. I went to StatCast, and I will put the link of what I used in StatCast to get these results so you can do it yourself and you can kind of identify who you think is a good buy. I'm going to include that in the description of the video. But what I did is I looked at some players who are in the top 50 of Major League Baseball for hitting the ball into the shift the most. And these players have at least 40 to 100 times they hit the ball directly into the shift, which caused an out. So I'm going to look at these players and identify which players could have a huge boost next year based off of age, based off of popularity, based off of a higher performance, and everything in between. So let's jump into it. Here are the actual features I had. I clicked into these and added more than just triple play because that's not the normal result that you get in a plate appearance. Any type of play that ends in an out into the overloaded shift, as I have here, will basically have a result on this list in the regular season, and if they pull it only because they're pulling to a certain side. But I want to just jump right into it, show you the players. These are the top 41 players that have hit balls into the shift. You can see Corey Seager by far leads the way at number 1, Kyle Tucker at number 2, all the way down to Andrew McCutchen at number 41 with 42 balls hit into the shift that have resulted in an out. So let's jump into the first player I think is going to be benefiting the most from the shift. I think Jordan Alvarez has potential to have a very big increase in his performance for the next decade because of this. That sounds dramatic, but the thing is, if he can hit the ball hard, even if it's on the ground now, he has a much higher probability of getting hits, which bodes very well for Jordan Alvarez. Right here, you can see he's number 9 on the list with 59 balls hit into the shift because he's a lefty pulling it to that side, which has resulted in an out. So I think Jordan Alvarez could benefit greatly. He has 13.2 WAR. I believe he's 25 heading into his age 26 season. So I do think his cards have a decent potential to go up. This is the card ladder index for Jordan Alvarez. It takes the 20 cards they have in card ladder and basically shows if they've gone up or down as an entire class. And you can see over the last 12 months that his cards are up 15%, but not massive. And he's having a massive year. This is an MVP top 10 voting year, and his cards only up 15%. That in and of itself shows that he could be a good buy. I'm not saying buy Jordan Alvarez. Do your own research. I will never tell you who to buy. You can always look at what I'm buying and make assumptions, but I'm never going to tell you who you should buy. But Jordan Alvarez could have a very big couple years because of the shift being eliminated, and his batting average right now is a 302. It could be 310. It could be 315. Who knows? He's had a lot of outs that could have been hits in a regular season moving forward. So Jordan Alvarez is my number 1 that I think could be a good player. I know it says number 9 here. He's still my number 1 choice. The reason it says number 9 is because he was a number 9 out of everybody in Major League Baseball, out of like the 500 qualified hitters. At number 2, I have Shohei Ohtani. And this one might surprise you a bit, but at the same time, we know Ohtani pulls the ball a lot because he's a lefty, but he hits the ball so hard. When you hit the ball very hard, if you're not lined up exactly where the computer tells you to line up, if you're a first baseman playing a traditional first base spot because the shift is banned, and you're a second baseman doing the same, there's a good opportunity for balls to get through the hole between the first baseman and the second baseman. And that will happen with Ohtani. He's hitting 270 this year with a 149 OPS plus. Would it be surprising if his batting average goes up 5 to 10 points to a 275's OPS goes up, let's say, to 155? That's not unlikely. And if it does, his WAR will go up. Instead of being 8.9, it might be 9.3. Those type of things could happen for Shohei, and that just helps his overall numbers. Everybody loves that he's a unicorn. He does so many things that no one else has ever done, and because of that, I think Shohei Ohtani is a very good option. And right now, I am re-looking at Shohei Ohtani as a long-term hold because if he only has to do this for 2 or 3 more years, like literally just 2 or 3 more years, and I think his iconic status of being the only person ever to do this is going to help him get to the Hall of Fame even without the counting stats. Counting stats are going to be there, I think. I think he's going to hit longer he's going to pitch in Major League Baseball, even though he's pitching better than he's hitting this year. But because he is such a good power DH, I could see him aging very well in Major League Baseball and I think Shohei Ohtani could be a good buy because of that. At number 3, we have Jose Ramirez. This one might surprise you. I want to show you a couple things with Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is a switch hitter, and he hits right-handed pitchers much better than left-handed pitchers, at least this year alone. He's usually better against lefties than he is this year. I'm not saying he hits lefties better than righties always, but his left-handed performance has been really bad this year when he's hitting right-handed. But I want to look versus right-handed pitchers when he is a left-handed hitter. You can see he still has a 916 OPS plus, a batting average of 290, 22 home runs. He has a batting average of 277. It's very likely, again, for him, he hits the ball very hard and he's very quick. And because he's quick and hits the ball hard, he's going to get more infield singles. If he doesn't hit it necessarily to the outfield, if he hits it soft anywhere on the infield, there's a better chance if there's no one there. But when he's smoking the ball to people in the right field, like we see with the shift currently, that's an easy out even if he is fast. And for that reason, Jose Ramirez is a very good option. More right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers, as you can see here. 473 plate appearances versus 159 versus lefties. So because of that, I could totally see his batting average going up as well, which bodes well for Jose Ramirez. He is entering his age 30 season. I think he might have just turned 30, but he has about 40 WAR. That's pretty impressive. It's definitely not a Hall of Famer yet, but I think he's on the right path. And this might be what he needs to get there even more, as his stats, his counting stats, his RBI totals, his OPS plus, everything goes up just a few points because of this change. So for that reason, Jose Ramirez is my number 3 choice, even though he's number 18th in baseball for hitting into the shift, the 18th most with 51 times this year. Now let's look at Kyle Tucker. He does not have a card ladder index. You can see Jose Ramirez is up only 8%, by the way. That's not very much for how good of a year he's having. But if you look at Kyle Tucker, he doesn't have a card ladder index, so there's no cards of his in card ladder, but he has a 131 OPS plus this year, 262 batting average, 5.2 WAR, 29 home runs, same age as Jordan Alvarez, I believe. I think they're basically the same. I think he is another great option. He hits into the shift second most in Major League Baseball, only behind Corey Seager, and because of that, he's young enough where there is some interesting things you can do with his cards. I'm not personally buying Kyle Tucker, but I'm not saying Kyle Tucker is a bad buy. I just think Kyle Tucker himself has potential to have a very big year coming up. In the next few years, he easily could have a 145, 150 OPS plus. I don't think it's necessarily a given or a slam dunk, but it's definitely possible, especially with the shift being eliminated. He hits the ball hard as well, which means it's going to get through the hole more, and when it does, he'll have more base hits, which helps all of his offensive numbers. After that, we have Bryce Harper. He's number 47th on the list, but Bryce Harper has hardly any plate appearances and at-bats because he broke his hand and was out for like a month and a half. So he'd be a lot higher on this list. He's constantly hitting the ball into the shift. He's actually pretty good recently about going to the opposite field if he needs to, but this might help his power numbers because he's consciously doing it. This might allow him to pull more without having the lower batting average. He sacrifices batting average when he pulls because of the shift. 3 people, 1 person in the outfield throwing him out. So I think he could be another great choice. Surprisingly with Bryce Harper, look at his card ladder index. He has gone up 82% since last September, even though he hasn't really played that much or had that great of a year. He's having a great year, don't get me wrong, but 2.4 WAR because he hasn't played much. 152 OPS plus is great. He hasn't really played in the outfield because of an elbow issue. There's a lot of things with Bryce Harper. I'm surprised his cards are up that much. Maybe he's a bad buy, maybe he isn't. I like Bryce Harper. I have Bryce Harper cards, and I would buy Bryce Harper. But for some, this might tell you he might be a little hot right now. Maybe you should wait on his cards. Next up, we have Freddie Freeman. We have another lefty. I promise there is at least one right-handed hitter on this list I want to show you, but Freddie Freeman's number 22 in all of baseball. Same exact reasons. His cards are down 20% because he left the Braves. People always think going to a bigger market like Los Angeles or the Yankees will help your cards. It does not always help because I've actually made a video on this. Usually drops your cards because the team who loved you, like the Braves, they don't give a crap about your cards. You've seen a lot of great Freddie Freeman cards go for cheap this year, and that's the reasoning behind it. But with Freddie Freeman, his cards are actually cheaper right now, having one of the better years of his entire career, literally top 3 or 4 year of his career. And next year's going to probably be better because he'll have the exact same lineup behind him and with him, besides maybe Trey Turner leaving Los Angeles. I bet they re-sign him or another great shortstop. But I think Freddie Freeman could benefit from this. He already has a 330 batting average because he's not afraid to go the other way, but he still has a lot of outs into the shift. And so I think this will help him. Maybe he has a 340 batting average. Probably not likely. I think this might be the ceiling for him in regards to batting average, but with the shift being eliminated, who knows? Here is the right-handed hitter I want to show you. And there's not many in the top 50 for right-handed hitters, but Mookie Betts has become more pull conscious than ever. His career on base percentage is 369. He has a 341 on base this year. His career slugging percentage is going to be 521. He has a 546 this year, top 5 in baseball, at least top 5 in the National League. But with Mookie Betts, he actually has quite a few outs into the shift. He has multiple balls that I can think of right off the top of my head where he has high stat cast probability for a hit. So it tells you based off of the launch angle and how hard he hit it and where he hit it, what the hit probability is. But for Mookie, he's had those turn into outs because they have the overloaded shift. With that gone, up the middle, he'll have more hits as well, and then he can pull it between the hole between second and third again. So for Mookie, I think he'll have an increase in his batting average. People are surprised his batting average is lower. I'm not at all, because he went from the Boston Red Sox Fenway Park to Dodger Stadium. There's a very big hitting environment difference between those two. His OPS plus with the Dodgers for his career is actually higher than his OPS plus with the Red Sox, which is surprising, but his batting average has dropped, which is not surprising. And that's because he doesn't have the Green Monster. He doesn't have as offensive friendly park as he used to have. So not too big of a deal for me, in my opinion. Yes, I'd love this to be around 290, but for Mookie, this is going to go up. I think his batting average will be higher than what it has been in the last few years because the shift will be eliminated, and he can pull just like he wants to, and he'll still have a high slugging percentage and a little bit higher batting average because of it. And the last person is Corey Seager, the number one player on this list, who actually has the most balls hit into the shift. The reason he's not higher is because he's getting older, and I just don't know if Corey Seager's ever going to have the opportunity to have value in this hobby because he plays for the Rangers. And so because of that with Corey Seager, I have him as someone you could consider buying because his batting average is going to spike from 246 to maybe 270, you could say, because the shift's going to be gone. And you can see, again, he's hit into the shift 94 times, while the next highest is Kyle Tucker at 72. Because of that, Corey Seager has a great opportunity to go up. Plus, his market is actually down 80% essentially from where it was last year at this time because he was still with the Dodgers and the postseason run, all that great stuff. So anyways, those are some players I think can benefit from the shift being banned, and their cards might react accordingly. So it might be something to look into. I did include the actual full list in the description here. Feel free to scroll through that, see who else you're going to target. But other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.